And welcome back to Next Scene Podcast, the podcast taking on pop culture one scene at a time. Welcome back once again. I am your host, Sean German. Unfortunately, my brother Brian cannot join us tonight, but in his place, I have two wonderful hosts that will help us get us through this night, this fifth night of Hanukkah. With us, we have the supervisor of podcast operations. It's Liz Whitaker.
Hi, that's me.
Hi, thanks for joining us, Liz. And also with us is all the way from Mogwai Minute and Way to Dune Minute. It's Dr. George Podcaster, PH Discord.
I love that. That's good. That's good. Although I did figure out for you, Sean, when Brian is not here, you need to have a small moment of, sadness and call it the Bri cry.
The Bri cry. Yeah.
Listen, we both know he's not here because he looked at the recording schedule and was like, "There's not enough brisket in the world for me to come to this Hanukkah Night 5." Not with these two. No.
No, there's only so much brisket to go around. So we've got
unless you're
he
Jewish,
took it and ran. He was like, "I'm not sharing it with those."
Oh, that's why you don't have enough. He took it and left.
Yeah, so right after the recording, we'll keep it quick tonight because right after we're done, I'm gonna get hot on that trail. I gotta hunt them down.
Brian risked it for the brisket.
Risked it for the brisket. You're a poet tonight. I love it.
He definitely knows it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we're here tonight to discuss from December 13th, 2011. This is season 1, episode 9 of New Girl. The episode is titled The 23rd. Comes after the 23rd of December, which is when this episode takes place, which is a little bit off. So in 2011, Hanukkah started on December 20th. So the 23rd would have been the fourth night. But the schedule didn't quite. I had another great show that I had lined up to talk about for the fourth night. So we're doing this the fifth night. But this way we can look back. Though it goes past midnight. We'll get there at the end. But it goes into
it bridges the gap. So I think you might be on something.
So yeah. So before we get started, I'll ask my guests, Liz and George, what is your history with New Girl and with this episode in particular? Had you seen this before?
Yeah.
I have. So my history with New Girl is I started watching at the beginning and then I fell off of it. And so I would always be like, oh, you know what? I need to get caught up on New Girl. So I'm going to start watching it from the beginning again to kind of get caught up so I have my backstory. And then I would forget about it and then fall off a couple seasons in. And so I have seen season 1 probably half a dozen times or more. The first half of season 1 probably 24 times or more. It's been a while. So I've seen this episode a lot, like all of it basically until Schmidt tries to white fang Cece, basically in the middle of season 1. You white fanging me right now?
Yeah. And Liz, you sound familiar with this episode.
Yes, I have seen the entire series twice at least, and then there's episodes that I've seen.
Weird Megan Fox season.
She was in a season. She plays a character named Reagan. So she was easy for her to know who they were talking to. But I saw a few episodes, I think, at a friend's house beforehand. I think like the one where Jess goes through a car wash, maybe. That seems to stick out as something I saw before I saw the show. I definitely binged through it twice. And fun fact, my current boyfriend was an extra in an episode of New Girl.
Wow. Ooh.
There you go.
I should have gotten him on the show.
Oh, go ahead.
No, if we take this recording long enough, he might just pop in.
He might be like, hey, by the way, I was on New Girl. I actually have a friend who's an esthetician in LA, and the all redhead who keeps recurring on the show, she's Susan Sarandon's daughter in real life, but she's the office worker with Schmidt that like is always out to get him, and like she's done a couple of facials on her before.
And that was
okay,
one-upper.
I'm not one-upping, but I mean he was on the show, but I just have a related story that happens to involve a character on the show.
Okay. No, we like connections. Yeah. I mean I'm kind of like with George on this. Like I started watching the show when it was first on the air. I think I I kind of lost it. I think around season 5, like somewhere in the middle of that Reagan season. For some reason, I just didn't keep up with it, or I stopped watching, and I never went back. So I
Really
never, I
messes
don't
with the
think I've
flow
seen.
chemistry when Jess is not there, or she is riding in a scooter because she's actually pregnant, but no one wants to show that she's pregnant. So when they try
Mhm.
to do those workarounds, it gets real weird, and it just the flow and the energy is not there.
Just send her to jury duty.
That's right.
The reasons she was not there very
Yeah.
creative, but the lack of her was definitely
Yeah.
impacted on the quality of the show.
Watching this
Yeah.
episode today, though, Jess reminds me so deeply of my new roommate, Promise. Just the way she moves and flails around and loves cute small animals. I feel like I live with 23-year-old Midwestern, even like religious Jess.
If
Religious
so, you have this connection. Out of all of the roommates, who do you identify with the most?
Me? Oh, I'm Nick.
Okay, I figured. I just wanted to throw it out there so people could hear
No,
it.
wait,
I
I'm
want- I
sorry.
want people to hear you
Actually,
say it.
you know what? I think I've grown beyond Nick. I think I'm
You're more of a
Winston
Schmidt
now.
now?
I'm more
Oh,
of a
I think you're more
Winston
of a
now.
Schmidt. Really? I don't know about that. Okay. All right. No, listen. It's your perception. It's your choice. I just feel
Yeah.
like
See, now, I
Winston's
think,
definitely the weirdest.
yeah, Liz is a Winston. George is definitely a Schmidt.
Yeah,
I don't think
see?
there's
I'm
any.
not nearly as OCD as him.
Yeah, that's something Schmidt would
Not
say.
You
nearly
think
as
I
OCD
am?
as him. Have your moments.
All
But
right, so
yeah, okay,
let's
fine.
let's
I'll take Schmidt. Whatever.
there you go. We mean it with love, mostly. So let's get into the episode. So we open on we're in the apartment with Winston, Schmidt, and Nick, and they're wearing Jess's holiday gifts, which are roller skates, and they're skating around. For some reason, Nick is wrapping up tacks as a gift for his 12-year-old nephew.
Love him.
Schmidt is complaining about being sexy Santa for because he's the only guy in his office. And we get our first mention of Hanukkah right off the bat, where Schmidt mentions he doesn't like Christmas because, one, it means all his friends are leaving as they fly off or they go off to visit their families, and also Christmas means Hanukkah is over.
Is that true
Even though
every year? It's not true every
no,
year, is it?
because actually, yeah. So this year, 2022, Hanukkah actually ends on Christmas.
There you go.
The last
So Hanukkah is
episode,
kind of like a floating
yeah.
holiday. Kind of shifts based on him.
Yeah, it's not, with the lunar calendar, it moves around. And actually, the year this aired in 2011, as I said,
Wasn't
Hanukkah
over.
started on the 20th. So this was like right in the middle. Christmas, well, I guess towards the end. Christmas was in the midst of Hanukkah. So usually
That's
it's over by Christmas, but not over. Not always.
That's what happens when you let a lot of Gentiles write about Jews.
I know, right?
Yes.
They just sort of
Yeah.
like slap that Hanukkah brush all over everything. That blue silver
We
paint just everywhere.
try.
Is this writer
We
Jewish?
try, but we're just not good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the writer's name is Donna Carey. I don't know much about him, but that doesn't really sound like a Jewish name. Yeah, probably not.
Where was Max Greenfield? What was he doing?
Yeah,
he should
couldn't
have
he
been a
help out?
consultant
Couldn't he
at
add list and
least.
stuff?
He had to say the lines.
Judaism,
get-
son.
I guess it's episode 9, season 1. Everybody's still trying to just keep their job.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's still early. So we set up a couple plot lines. So mentioned we've got the holiday party, which is going to figure in. Schmidt next, mentions playing the sexy Santa. Nick mentions he's got a 4 a.m. flight, so he's got to fly home for Christmas. And then Jess comes in and says, "Oh, we need to go to the mall." She's got to figure out what to get Paul. That's going to be another plot line, Jess-Paul relationship.
Which I forgot who Paul was until Nick called him Genslinger later. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
right.
Oh,
Jess starts calling him Genslinger too after they break up.
Spoilers.
Paul Kingsley.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
spoilers for the show that aired in 2011.
If you have this episode, stop right now. Go watch the episode.
Maybe he comes back, whatever. She doesn't end up with him in the end. Doesn't
Sure.
really ruin the story. You don't know how they get there.
No, it's all about the journey.
Streaming on something. Is it on net? I think, is it on Netflix? I probably should have been saying
It's on
for the
Netflix.
listener what where they can find the shows
Yeah,
that I'm talking about.
we
And I
all
just
definitely
saw
watched
that.
it legally on Netflix.
Yeah, we definitely watched it legally on Netflix. But you know what? I'll be posting on social media. Yeah, so it's streaming on Netflix. You can buy it on Amazon or Apple TV or Google. Or no, not all seasons. But I will have posted on social media before we start sending out the episodes. I'll be posting what episodes we're going to be talking about and where you can find them. So listeners, just go back in time and look at that, and then watch the episode, and then come back in time to the present and listen.
A lot of time travel. Be responsible with it. Don't step on any butterflies.
Yes. Well, watch out for those butterflies. So then jumping forward, we head to the mall. So we've got Jess and Nick talking about what she should get Paul. And it's early in the relationship, and I do like this episode. I'm pretty sure I would have seen this when it was first on. Like I said, I watched from the first season, but I don't remember it. But they do a pretty good job of catching you up if you haven't watched the show or you don't remember. They mentioned that Jess and Paul have been going out for 1 month.
Yeah.
It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
This
which
is
is
an interesting episode in the fact that there are some moments in here that stick out, but overall, I feel a lot of the episode is kind of on the forgettable side.
Well, I think it's actually there's some good character development or character establishment. Jess, she just got out of this really long relationship with this Spencer dingus who done her wrong. And this is like her first boyfriend since then. And she doesn't just like rebound emotionally too hard because she takes her time. It's spoilers for the next act after the commercial break. He professes his love for her after a month. Chill out, my dude.
Yeah, I know, right? Genslinger. Whew.
And Jess is like, she's honest and says she can't say it back, and not to him. She's not honest to him. She's honest to Nick at the mall. Not at the mall.
Yeah, because her feet are pointing at her. But
I think it's important to establish that Jess isn't just looking to find a man to marry and like settle down. She's willing to be on her own and wait and find actual love.
She also doesn't want him to think she's using him for his body.
Which, like, very Jess thing.
If you've seen Justin Long, you know that that's going to be a real hard sell.
She's definitely 100% definitely using him for his body. I'm just kidding.
Sure,
not
for sure.
Opposite of that.
You can say it all you want to, Jess, but you're a liar.
You don't know what he's packing. You don't know what's going on.
True. She did say they were having hot rockin' sex.
It's this first season, like I said, I've seen it a lot, so I've had a chance to distill it down a little bit. And the literal highlight of the entire first season, there's 23 episodes in this first season, is their sex scene where they're talking at each other like Jimmy Stewart and the old-timey radio lady. and she's wearing the underwear on top of her underwear. They're like, "Oh, young man," and I literally cannot. It's so funny every time I watch it. It gets me the same. It's too good. It's too good. So that's the season 1 highlight for me right there. Is that little aspect of their dynamic.
Yeah, that is good. I think it does a good job of, so it's setting up Jess, but we also get the other characters as well. We get they kind of set up the Schmidt Cece dynamic. I think we get a good idea of what Winston's about. Nick is just kind of the comic relief, and I don't know if he grows much over the course of the series.
He's not really like a point in this. He's more of a catalyst for other bits, but he's not really. The only thing we get from him is like he always misses his flight to go home for Christmas to visit his family.
Yeah, which how do you miss a 4 a.m. flight? Well,
easily.
We'll get to that later.
So easy.
So easy.
Be Nick.
Yeah. So I was go ahead. So jumping ahead, after they leave the mall, we see them in a car. They're I assume they're just driving from the mall, and just takes them through. Which I'm trying to figure out where they're going because they live in Manhattan, so I don't know where they went shopping. But somehow between the mall and home,
they live in Manhattan. They live in Long Beach.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
What? think this happened in New York.
This is an LA.
You had to be kidding me.
show
This entire
for
show is set
sure.
in LA for so
Oh,
hardcore sure.
California. They go to New York for a series of episodes because that's where Schmidt's from, and they have a crossover with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I never saw that.
They have to travel to New York to do that. This is a California show.
Were they always? Okay.
There's
Apparently it's
always
been a long
how
time.
Apparently,
long
I'm
have
the only one
you-
that's actually
don't-
seen
this
every
is-
episode.
It says absolutely an
They
LA
must
show.
they must cover that in a later season. maybe I stopped watching when they got to that point where they
I
actually
think
addressed
it
that.
might be okay. You know what?
Or maybe I
In
probably
literally
just
the
wasn't paying
pilot,
enough attention. For some
literally
reason,
at the end of the pilot, when they go to her her house with Spencer to pick up stuff, if you can watch that and think that's New York,
okay.
you have never been anywhere.
That might also explain why it's not too cold
Why
2 days
they're
before
just
Christmas.
trumping
Wearing light
around in their
jackets at
shirt
Christmas?
sleeves.
I'm gonna edit all this out. None of this will ever.
No,
Oh,
this
no,
stays
this is
in,
staying
Sean.
in.
Your realization
Leave
that
it
this
in.
is actually an LA show needs to stay in.
I need
This is
to go
growth.
back and watch this thing from the beginning now because this blows my mind. It totally
It's like
changes.
I was
my
thinking this is
perspective.
more of a modern day
Side chat, watch
Seinfeld.
along.
That's what I thought. I thought this was like a Friends thing.
It is,
It
but it's
turns out
West
it's
Coast
not.
Friends, where the people
Also,
are
it's a
kind
lot
of like
funnier and way less cringy.
like Jess is from Portland, Oregon, so they like can drive home to see to
Mhm.
get home if they want. It takes a while.
Okay.
Short flight.
Anyway,
alert, her mom is Jamie.
So
Lee
after
Curtis.
the mall, Jess takes them to Candy Cane Lane, which is a street where all the neighbors, they light up their houses and their yards, and they've got huge displays. And she's saying, before we drive to the airport tonight, we're going to have to drive down Candy Cane Lane and see all the lights. So that's setting up it's a Chekhov's Candy Cane Lane.
Yeah.
So that's going to
Take
come
off the
back.
Christmas
So
lights.
remember that. And we get our second, and according to my notes, last mention of Hanukkah when Winston sees a menorah. Says, Schmidt, there's a menorah for you. There you go. There's your
Yeah.
Hanukkah content.
John, you should do an entire series just on movies based around Judaism and call it the Menorah Report.
The
Wait,
menorah.
I think they might mention him being Jewish while he's dressed as Sexy Santa at some point.
Yeah. Well, I think
mentioning him
someone
being Jewish is one thing versus saying
Oh,
Hanukkah.
but not
which
actually
doesn't make
specifically
they
sense.
always
referencing Hanukkah.
joke about
Yeah.
Schmidt
Okay,
being
okay,
Jewish.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Kim does remind him to use his sexy Santa voice because this isn't Temple.
Yes. Okay.
Which I don't quite follow that logic, like why, but you can't be a sexy Santa in Temple, but
I feel like that wouldn't go over well, actually.
yeah.
I don't know.
but
It might be a hit.
But I don't think she explicitly mentions Hanukkah. So we get our Hanukkah mention. We've got our Candy Cane Lane. So put a pin in that. That'll come back later. We've got another setup. The next bit is we see Schmidt visiting Cece at a photo shoot that she is doing for a Bolivian diet pill. When he presents her with his gift, which is a custom perfume that
Just for a
he's
second,
designed.
just let's stop and recognize that CC is the after version of the person who takes the Bolivian diet pill.
Also, that woman is also hot.
So they were both beautiful, which is like
Did
LA.
not complain about
I don't know
looking
how
like
you would think that's
the
New York.
before
That's such
either.
an LA thing, Sean.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. All right.
Would kill to look like the before.
Also, we get a nice little. This is I think he comes back later, but we get a little Robbie Amell. Is that how you say his last name? AKA the Arrow.
blonde guy.
Yeah, who's like
Oh,
Arrow
really?
for like 4,000 seasons on WB. Like this is
Yeah.
what he
The
was.
only
on.
time I've watched Arrow is with you.
Well, he was on it. I guarantee you.
Well, there you go. If it was Arrow, he was there.
If he was. You have failed this city. Hilarious. And I don't think there are any episodes of Arrow that center around Hanukkah, so you can't really talk about it. But if you did, you could make the reference back to New Girl.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. Moving on. So I just want to mention the ingredients in Cecilia number 5 are base notes of cocoa for her brownness, sea salt because it sounds like CC, and sandalwood. Up to no good. I guess the West Coast thing. I should have picked up on that when he goes sandalwood up to no good.
Up to no good.
All right. I never said I was observant. in my defense.
In fairness to me,
In
I
fairness
never
to
said I
me.
paid attention to
I
anything.
feel like,
ever.
Sean, you won't have to watch the series again. You'll have adopted this mindset by the time this episode is over.
Yeah, I'll be into it. And then, well, before we get to our first break, so then we jump back to the apartment. We've got the Jess and Paul gift exchange, and I think that they're like both going to extremes for like a 1 month adult sexual relationship. We've established they're involved physically. So Paul gets Jess tickets, air flight to Vienna, and tickets to the Salzburg Music Festival, which is way too much. And she unless he's a billionaire.
Is he moving to Vienna though? I think maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They don't mention.
Okay.
I don't know. He break up.
He's
and
the
then
music teacher. I thought.
They break up, and like a while later, he comes back like engaged to the girl that looks just like Jess, except like she's Asian or something.
Yeah, Asian Jess. But
okay.
He doesn't go
And then
anywhere.
Jess-
He just goes off the radar for a while.
Okay. Yeah, and Jess gets Paul an atomically correct heart of a 50-year-old non-smoker that actually beats, which actually is kind of a cute present.
It's like maybe part of the present.
Yeah.
Just a middle ground there. I feel like she went too low, but he went. That's like
way
that's
too
like fifth
high.
Anniversary wedding. If you're actually doing really well as a married, no kids couple.
Yeah, that's like an
expensive
expensive anniversary.
Yeah,
maybe
that's a big deal present. Tickets to another country and to a music festival. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
So say it was like 3 months, not 1.
Still too much.
What?
Still too much.
What's the? No, I'm kidding. I don't actually need
2 months
help
is
buying
like
gifts.
2 tickets.
No, I'm not actually
like,
asking for
one place within the continental United States, and like you go for like a long weekend.
Yeah.
I
tickets
don't
to
need
New
help, but
York
thank
and a
you.
Broadway show would still be too much
Sorry,
for 1 month.
I was like, you realize I live on the West Coast, right? Like that's an extravagant gift from the West Coast. Maybe from where you live, Sean.
Right.
Just drive up to the city.
Yeah. Maybe, you know what? If they're in LA, a weekend in San Francisco, that's a good gift. That's not too extravagant.
That's not bad. You go to Palm
If you
Springs.
want to travel. So I think travel's like, unless you know someone really well, like say, oh, I got to pack, I got to leave my house for a gift. You've created work for me.
Like, you don't give travel as a gift unless you've already traveled together.
That weekend away.
Otherwise, you don't know if it's a gift.
First weekend away is a big deal, and that usually has to require some sort of initiative, like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, or it's a birthday, or some sort of bigger gift giving behind it than just like, oh, it's been a month.
Or it doesn't have to be a gift, it's something you plan together.
Yeah.
Traveling is good. It's a good indicator of how well you're doing together, so good for them. But it doesn't work out that way, so maybe not so much.
I like Vienna.
Much.
I really love Paul's response. So obviously Jess is instantly self-conscious, the disparity in the difference between the two gifts. So she's feeling awkward, and his explanation that it's funny and quirky and so sweet, just like you.
His response really is very sweet. Like he is, like he does make like.
No, Genslinger is a good guy, but I feel like his emotional go-kart missing a governor. It's just going away.
He lacks a bit of emotional maturity.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I like you. We have good sex together. We now
That's
are
love,
in
right?
love. No, bro.
Let's go to Vienna.
Let's go.
Yeah. So and that's when he says, I love it. I love you.
Ugh.
And Jess says, thank you.
Thank
Awkward.
you.
I love you the first time is like a marriage proposal. It should not be a surprise to either one when it is said.
Both been holding it in for a while.
Yeah, like, you sit on it. You know it's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen. This whole like springing out. Oh my god, that is one of the most cringe moments.
Don't do it with like a Christmas gift, because that's like just putting too much pressure on everything.
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Oh, shut up, Sean. You've been married for 150 years.
Like, seriously.
You don't get to comment.
For a 25-year-old, but you've been married for 100 years.
I still haven't said it. I don't want to be too soon on it. I'm still holding out.
I
playing my cards close to my chest.
I appreciate your willingness to really just wait for the right moment.
Just
Yeah.
waiting for
It wasn't when
wanna
you were
drop-
saying I do. It still hasn't happened yet. That patience
yeah.
is really probably gonna not pay off for you.
No, not at all. It's not going to pay off. All right. So let's. I'm going to step out. Let's wrap it up. So that closes out the first act of this episode. So I want to ask you: do you think does this really count as a Hanukkah special, or is this sort of just a what I like to call a Christmas special with the Jewish friend?
This is definitely
Schmidt
Christmas
weren't
with the
Jewish, they
Jewish
would
friend.
not have uttered a single word about Hanukkah the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. So weird. So all the episodes we're covering in this series for my holiday special this year came up. I just kind of went online, did a web search, give me like what are the top television Hanukkah episodes, and yeah, this came up, and I watched it, and I'm like, I have no idea why you're on this list. This is literally a Christmas special
There's
episode.
a menorah off screen.
We don't even see the menorah. It's off
It's off
screen.
screen.
Uncredited is menorah.
That's basically the level of exposure that Tim has in as his role in. He is the menorah of the episode he's in.
The menorah of the episode. Yeah. So I don't think this really good at all in that respect. So does not score well on the Hanukkah special scale. But
Does not.
yeah, but maybe it can redeem itself. We'll see. I have a good feeling that things will look up from here. So let's jump into it. So Act 2 opens up. We're at the aforementioned holiday party. We're walking in.
Associated
Jess and Paul.
Strategies, which is one of the most generic company names that's ever been uttered in Hollywood history.
That's the point.
It's so lame.
Yeah, I guess they didn't have to worry about clearances or anything like that with that name.
They come up with something really bland, but looks good in a silver font.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could be a thing.
Schmidt!
Yeah.
So yes, so Cece is already there to greet greet the gang as they walk in. Jess and Paul and Winston and Nick. Jess says, "Oh, you're wearing my present, which is a fake mustache
and a giant watch."
And a giant watch.
It's like you look like a man accessory set.
It's like a fashion thing. I never get watches,
Yeah.
but you see people online who have like these massive watches on. You're like, what's wrong with your phone? You don't need to know the time that bad.
Right. I feel like that was like a 20-teens thing, 2010, 2011, the really big, even for women, like the really big masculine watch. That's just too much. She's got that. And as we said, Schmidt is there, and he's there as the sexy Santa, and that's where Kim breaks in, like, "Hey, Santa voice, this isn't Temple," which again, I don't know if that makes sense, but there you go. And as George alluded to, Nick's role as just someone who pushes the narrative along. Nick corners Paul out on the balcony and says, or actually, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. First, it's we get Nick and Jess talking, and Jess confesses to Nick that Paul has said "I love you," and I couldn't say it back, and I'm always the one who loves more. Nick says, "Hey, if you don't have feelings, just tell him."
That's the right choice. You got to be honest about it,
Yeah.
or at least watch it in a way that makes it seem like I'm open to more, but just not right now. Which is what she does, but how it's received.
But Nick, and then Jess mentions she doesn't want to break up with them on Christmas, but then it's New Year's, then Valentine's Day, then President's Day. There's always another holiday. There's never a good time, which just goes to the point. Just rip off that Band-Aid. Just do it now. Then we cut to Jess and Cece in the office bathroom. So Jess asks, "What are you doing here?" Cece says, "Kyle's being a jerk." And Jess says, "Eating cookies and avoiding confrontation," which I realize this is not, it's a private office. So it's not, I don't know, not entirely a public bathroom. I mean, it's not like a bus station or a highway, rest stop, but still, you're eating in a bathroom.
Also, don't sit on the floor.
Yeah, Yeah, don't sit
Oh,
on the floor.
And also,
Oh.
I just want to like hop back real quick and point out the fact that that is not a watch. That is just a really big bracelet.
is it just
You
a
see
really
it in
big
that
bracelet?
scene where they're looking at it. It is a sparkly like brooch type thing on a black leather band, but it's not a watch. It's not an actual timepiece.
Fine.
It's not a watch. Oh, it's just like yeah,
So
it's
this
the
show is
Christmas
set
tree
in
ornament,
LA. It's not about Hanukkah, and that's not a watch, Sean.
and it's not a watch. The revelations just keep on coming.
Keep rolling out. Come on.
Yeah. So then the next part is when Nick approaches Paul out on the balcony and says, and that's where he drops the
Classic
secret about.
miscommunication, Mr.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know his heart's in a good place. He's trying to help soften the blow. He's trying to like lay the stage, like, dude, I'm sorry, whatever, blah blah, but ends up just
What
blasting
it's
him
really
a few
like is like, I get it, man. I really want to bone Jess forever too. Like,
It's like I feel you, bro.
now's just not the
Yeah.
right time for either of us.
Yeah. You know, they make a cute couple that, you know, their bangs match. They both got their
Yeah.
bangs going on. Paul and
mean,
Jess, you know, it's just their kids
Justin
would have
Long
great
and Zoe Deschanel. Can you like? Is there a more like fitting pair?
No,
I do.
they do look. They make a good set. They look good together.
They look like salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, yeah. So Justin Long gets to do like a little bit of his, you know, gonna cry pouty face.
Yep, that's his signature.
He-
That's like
that he
him and
does.
Michael
It's
Cera's like confused but constipated face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we get a little bit of, we cut to Winston, who is hanging out with a little kid.
Before we
at
get to
this
there, I would
party.
like to
Oh,
we
yeah.
loop back to the bathroom real quick, where we first
Oh,
get
yeah.
a little bit of heart to heart with Jess and Cece, where they're talking about feelings. We get the lady coming out talking about how deadly the eggnog is because she just left the
Okay.
stall. And then we get the scene where Cece actively finally takes out the gift that Schmidt got her, sprays the perfume on her wrist, smells it, and then promptly retches and almost throws up in the corner of the bathroom because it's that
Yeah.
bad.
But it's
Yeah.
still a sweet gift.
It's a
It's-
wonderfully thought out gift, but sometimes the thought does not merit
No, I
that
think
level.
I actually think that gift is the definition of the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts.
Sure.
But I
But
do
you
think it's kind of like cooking, where you're supposed to taste things as you're cooking, so you know if it's, you know, if it's too much salt or not enough, or, you know, whatever you're doing wrong. Like the
But
thought was
that's not
really
how
nice,
Schmidt do.
but he should have smelled it and realized, oh, I need to come up with something else or remix or something. Like he should have smelled it
Also,
before he gave it to her.
the fact that it's CC number 5, indicating that there were 4 other versions before that he did smell and he
No,
liked.
The 4 others
Chanel-
are even
Chanel number
worse.
5.
No, he was going Chanel number 5,
No,
Cecilia
okay.
number
Well, you know what?
5.
I knew that could have been an idea, but the idea that that was the 5th iteration and that was the result
Yeah.
is like,
No,
that's
it's because
bad.
it took 5 tries to get it that gross.
Yeah,
It was
that's
worse before.
Yeah, that's my headcanon, that he did, you know, he did many batches and this was the
That's
best.
not my headcanon is that Schmidt's nose is just broken.
His nose
I thought
is
it smelled
broken.
great.
And as big as it is,
Hey.
because he's Jewish.
'Cause he's Jewish. I do like the timing, because it's right after, going back to something you point out, George. It's you know, because they're there, they're talking, they don't want to face you know, the whole world outside, and Jess says, I wish I could stay in this bathroom all night. And then right after that, there's flush, and then a woman comes out of the stall and all that eggnog.
Eggnog is deadly.
Eggnog is deadly. Yeah. And then Cece tries the perfume, which they're in a stinky bathroom.
Yeah.
And the perfume is even worse than that.
Notes of
Makes
nog
her
poop.
gag. Yeah.
Yeesh.
So yeah, and then Winston hanging out with the kid, complaining about you know, complaining about work that he doesn't have. Who wants to sit at a desk all day? You know, you got to call Wednesday hump day. And then, you know, kind of Winston asks what's up with the kid, and he says, Mommy won't let me sit on Santa's lap. Well, yeah,
I
'cause
mean,
that's good. Yes, good move, mother. Bad move bringing your kid to a grown-up adult office Christmas party.
like you made one
But-
decent parenting decision tonight.
Yeah. And they don't say it. I just assumed she couldn't find a sitter.
Can't win them all. I mean, I'm assuming she could. She couldn't have
Also-
found one because she couldn't afford one based on what she says later. It's not about money.
Yeah.
It was about availability.
It also feels like this is the kind of company, and like if you didn't come to this party, you don't work there anymore. Like it feels like attendance was mandatory.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Yeah.
politics going on here. A lot of see and be seen type things.
Yeah.
Right. So it's also a party where they let you bring your roommates and friends and children. Kind of an
Those
open
parties
door
like
policy.
that for sure. I mean,
Which is
you get
nice,
those like
yeah.
office parties that are like you get a +1 and you get this and that. Then others like literally just whatever. It's open bar. We can afford it. Just bring everybody.
More the merrier. Yeah. Yeah. So then we cut over to Nick and Paul on the balcony, and then Jess walks out and sees them hugging, and she obviously senses something up. She asks, "Why are you hugging?" Paul, ever the sweet guy that he is, tries to make up a quick lie. Says, we're talking about how moved we are by jazz music, and Nick, the instigator that he is, has to confess, has to tell the truth. And I guess honesty is the best policy when you're
Nick just
destroying
can't
someone's
lie.
relationship.
Yeah, he's bad at it. And also, this is where we run into the locked door gag, where the balcony door keeps locking every time it goes out, and so he's trapped out there with these two, and his honesty.
Listen, if you think that wouldn't happen to me, then you've never met me.
I would love to see you locked in a bathroom with somebody else, and then the gag is that it's the slide door, and you were pushing on it, and
I
the
can't
entire
get out. I
drama
just can't get
was
out.
unnecessarily experienced because you forgot to check all dimensions.
Because I forgot that I slid the door closed when I got in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were
So
real
before,
drunk.
Yeah. Before anyone says that this is just a sitcom trope of people getting locked in places, that this never happens, we'll just say
Third of us on this
yes,
podcast
does
have
happen.
lived that experience.
If you don't
We're not going to
believe
say
that
which
this,
third.
if you don't believe that this is a trope because it happens to people in real life, then you need more friends.
Yes. Or you just
Sure.
need more drunk.
And you need to be friends
Not
with
me
Liz.
because I'm full up.
Yeah.
Liz is pretty locked out. She's good. I got a bracelet to prove it.
So I want to jump
It's a
forward
watch,
a little bit.
not a bracelet.
Yeah. It's a bracelet, not a watch. So I mean, some stuff happens. Nick gets a call from his mom. He promises her he's not high and he won't miss the flight this year. Just wants to take it slow. Paul doesn't know if he can do that, which doesn't make a ton of. I mean, I guess I know how you might feel that in the moment, but like, is going slow with Jess better than no Jess at all? Does it have to be all or
She said she
nothing?
doesn't. It's not like when you're like, oh my gosh, I have deep feelings for this person and they just want to be friends with me. That's not what she's saying. She's just saying,
No.
like, before I tell you that I'm in love with you, I want to make sure that that's like as true as I can.
Yeah, she just asking him to pump the brakes while she sort of like figures their stuff out. And his response is, nah.
Right. I mean, hey, 150 years ago, before I was married, I wanted to take it slow. My now wife made it very clear that she was interested in getting more serious than I wanted to be. Similar to Jess, I had come out of a relationship and felt that my heart was broken and didn't want to jump into anything. And I wanted to go slow, and she hung in there. She, gave me the time I needed to come around.
You knew your heart wasn't broken because she gave you a CAT scan.
Okay. I think those do brains, but all right.
Whatever. It's full body.
Anyway.
So anyway.
It's Christmas.
It's an MRI.
All right. Well, it's been fun. I gotta go now.
I just broke this.
No, like somebody gives you a stuffed anatomical heart, and that's when you choose to be like, "I love you," and you expect them to say it in return.
Yeah. Genslinger, read the room.
My buddy.
Read the room. All right.
Where are his friends?
I don't think he has any, which is why he latches on so quickly.
Yeah, Genslinger needs friends.
The lonely man.
Yeah.
His,
Well, listen, it was 2011. Group chats like just weren't really a thing yet. Like we would not have let him do this.
No, he needs some friends to straighten him out.
He needs a group chat. Whatever it's called.
Do what?
Yeah, whether it's called For the Culture or something else.
Yeah. So then we cut over to Schmidt and Kim, and he's putting his foot down. No more sexy Santa. Santa's dead. I killed him. And of course, in classic sitcom fashion, that's the exact moment that Elvin walks in as Schmidt confesses to killing Santa, and the kid screams.
He did that because Cece gave him the courage to.
He did.
All the way back
Yeah.
in season 1, Cece and Schmidt
Uh,
really are good for each other.
OTP,
Yeah.
they've been there since the jump. Like
Yeah.
four episodes in, something like 5, maybe, whatever.
No more sexy Easter Bunny. No more Cinco de Sexy. No more sexy MLK, which I think is very problematic and should not be a thing that Schmitty does.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sean just said it was inappropriate.
Yeah.
I'm going from where Schmidt is thinking. That's where Schmidt's head is.
No, it's not where Schmidt's head is. Schmidt doesn't want to do these things. Schmidt wants to be taken seriously as a professional. It's Schmidt's colleagues.
Exactly. This is an office. This is a place of business. He's the hardest worker. He's the first one there every day, which I'm not sure why he thinks that if there's no parking spaces.
Well,
but-
he's trying to say, I'm the first one here every day. And she's like, no, you're not. And he's like, she's right.
Yeah.
It's because I can't find a place to park.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is here before me.
For me.
Yeah. Not sure how that works. All right. Let's take another break. And follow up. This is kind of a and kind of part B to part A of my first question. And so this is does this episode capture the spirit of Hanukkah? And that is whatever Hanukkah means to you. What do you think? Liz, you go first.
I mean, in terms of like bringing light and love into the world through the relationships you make and whatever the people you meet, I guess.
Mhm.
But there's like not actually like spirit of Hanukkah is about the best it can do because there's no actual Hanukkah.
Right. So what do you think, George?
I think that if you're meaning in the way that the majority of the United States overlooks Hanukkah, except for the occasional token reference, then I think it's spot on.
Oh, fair.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's. I agree. Yeah, it was certainly there as well. I'm gonna say yes. I actually give this an enthusiastic. I mean, maybe not 100% because it doesn't like a big thing in Judaism. Like every holiday involves the retelling of the story of how the holiday happened, and like this has got literally none of that. I mean, it barely has any Hanukkah at all, as we
No
said.
Hebrew.
Yeah,
I think
we don't even see the menorah.
I think the nod to that might be the recurring joke about how Nick always misses his flight back home for Christmas. That's retelling the story of how he always misses the flight back home.
But my point. But I will give it 4 out of 5. I think this does capture a lot of the spirit of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the festival of lights. The celebration involves lighting candles or oil lantern, oil lights, or some kind of light. We get the spoiler alert at the end. We return to Candy Cane Lane. We get the lights.
Light up.
We get that aspect of the holiday, as you said, Liz. We get the friends and family coming together. We get and we get a little bit of a miracle. I mean, I'll just kind of fast forward to the end. When they return to Candy Cane Lane, it's too late, and all the lights are turned off. And they're all morose, and Nick is sad because this was going to be his Christmas gift to Jess, and Jess is down. I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Nick starts screaming, hey, wake up, turn on the lights, and everyone starts screaming. Schmidt gives the signal for everyone to join in, and then the lights come on. It was dark, and suddenly there's lights. It's a Hanukkah miracle, and there you go. I got to admit, I've watched this episode like 3 or 4 times in the past 3 or 4 days preparing for this episode. Every time I get to that point, my eyes get a little misty. It touches me. I get emotional when those lights start coming on. Even I know it's coming. I've seen it before, but it gets to me. I think this really does capture the spirit of Hanukkah. I like it.
right.
Now, how you could capture the spirit of Hanukkah without mentioning Hanukkah? I don't know how, but somehow they figured it out. They did it. For me,
You know what? They
it
banded
worked.
together and they believed and they made
Yeah.
the light happen.
Exactly. The
Isn't
power
that
of belief and friendship and love, they
yeah,
made the light happen.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day, isn't that really the story of Hanukkah?
Yes.
You tell the story.
That's it. Yeah. I think this so I think this does capture the spirit of Hanukkah, at least what Hanukkah
Modern New
means to me.
York version of Hanukkah.
Oh
The
man, there have
modern
been
New
way more
York and
bagels that
LA
have been set in
version
New York.
of Hanukkah.
Way more bagels.
Yeah, if honestly, Sean, how do you watch this and not like if it was actually set in New York, Hanukkah would have gotten more than just a passing reference. There would have
sure.
been more than one menorah.
Yeah. Well,
Wouldn't
that
have had to be Sexy Santa.
answers another question I have. So while they're out, when Nick starts yelling for the people to wake up and turn their lights back on, I didn't pick up who, but someone says it's 2 a.m. To say like it's too late to be yelling. And I was trying to figure out like if his flight's at 4 and it's only 2 and there's not going to be much traffic at 2 a.m. Anywhere. So I'm like, how long is it going to take them to get to the airport? Because I know
It's Nick.
all the airports around the New York area are kind of close together, but maybe LAX is like, I don't know, if it's super far outside the city or something.
Oh, LAX
Maybe
is in the middle of town. It's
maybe he's
ridiculously in the
flying out
middle
of Ontario. Maybe he needs to get, who
Sorry.
knows what airport he's
It's
flying out
Nick.
of.
Nick will get lost. You have to get him there in plenty of time.
Yeah.
Because he will like have something in his pockets and get stuck in security, probably get detained.
Right. There's all those
I'd like to point
freeways and the drive-bys and
I'd also point out that when they pull up to Candy Cane Lane, there's a very much a visible menorah in the background.
Can you see the
Whatever.
menorah?
There. It's next to the
go
Santa
back and
Claus,
look.
which in the very next scene is laying over on its face when it's upright when they first get there. It's there.
You say so.
Okay. So that makes sense.
There's a menorah.
LA, that makes sense how it could be 2 a.m. and that they're not going to make it to the airport in time to make a
Are you kidding me?
So-
There's like if it was 2 a.m. and I had a 4 a.m. flight and I was on Candy Cane Lane and not pulling into the airport, I don't know if I would be having a panic attack.
Yeah, for sure. I've traveled with her. I know this is true.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to point out, Sean, for another nail in your New York coffin, they drive like 10 minutes and they're in a residential neighborhood. You tell me where in Manhattan, any of the boroughs, you're going to have anything that looks like a standalone house except for Long Island.
If this is set in New York, it's on Long Island.
There's
way
the
out
menorah.
Long Island. Like
Oh my
Montauk.
God. So
There's the menorah. It's been on Long Island the whole time.
Whole time.
there it is. So it's dark. It's 2 a.m. There's this giant white snowman, inflatable Frosty, and then next to it is this brown menorah that completely
Not lit up.
It's camouflaged.
It's there.
It's not lit up, but it is there. So yes, okay. So there you go. 5 out of 5. This is the best Hanukkah
There you go.
episode
Thank you.
because you
Thank
actually
Wait,
get to see the menorah.
Hang on.
Well, I do. So I do have one more question that I want to ask, and so in our previous seasons on Next Scene Podcast, our holiday specials, usually it's traditions. It's the holiday, the holiday movies we watch year after year. We talk about traditions, what foods and what things do you do every year. And so my question is this episode part of is this suitable for a yearly rewatch, or maybe it already is? Is this part of your yearly holiday traditions? Can you watch this over and over again?
Could be.
I actually think so.
I mean, no, it has the potential to be, but if you're asking from a personal level, I don't give this episode two thoughts when it comes to like what I want to watch.
The only thing I watch every year is Star Wars.
Hard.
I don't. That's what I watch when I wrap Christmas presents.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just watched that
holiday.
holiday special. Happy Life Day. Actually, it's Life Day as we're recording.
No. The motion picture.
The motion picture. I knew
These are not the droids you're looking for. That's like
No,
I'm
the
wrapping
motion
gifts.
That's good. That's a good
Oh,
tradition.
you mean
my
the sequel to
Christmas movie.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
gotcha.
2 seasons in a movie or whatever. The Obi-Wan movie.
and the sequel to
the sequel to Rogue One.
Yes.
Rogue One.
The literal.
I wanted to say
sequel
Air
Rogue
Force
One.
One. I'm like, that's not
Okay.
right.
I like
That's
this
a
for
different
holiday
podcast.
viewing. I like that there are thoughtful moments that you do
Mhm.
get the experience of. Gift giving can be really, really nerve-wracking
Yeah.
but that's also can be an indication that that's like not the right person to be buying gifts for, because
Yeah.
gifts Jess gets her roommates they love, and she knew that they would love them even if on the surface they would tell her never buy me roller skates.
Well, they do have that one pair. They're not going to need another one for a long time. So
Yeah.
I think that there's that cute, fun moment of she really got them something that they loved. And in their own way, Schmidt and Nick were both very thoughtful with their gifts.
Mhm.
And, it is a thoughtful, like, Nick is broke. He got nothing. But the fact that
it's funny that
on
you
the
mentioned
way,
like the ease of gift giving is comparable to the level of energy or whatever you have with someone if you're into them, because in the beginning we get him wrapping up a pack of tacks for his 12-year-old nephew, but at the end we see him doing a very sweet, selfless, like thoughtful, like top to bottom gift for this person who he supposedly doesn't know that well.
yeah. And I mean, and not only does it's something that would make her happy, it doesn't work at the start. So he has to put extra effort into making
Mhm.
it happen for her.
To push it through rather
And
Yeah.
than just like, hey, I thought of this place, but he's really threatening with a
Yeah.
with a trespassing restraint order
and
for having the
he
cops
doesn't
called.
he doesn't just give up on it. It's
Yeah.
not like, "Oh, well, okay, my bad. I'm Nick. You expect me to fuck this up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Nick.
He
You expect me to
delivered.
get this wrong."
Right.
They
Which I
what
guess in a way that is the Nick story arc growth for this episode, because we go from whatever, I'm just going to give Winston a burrito in a pail for a gift, to an actual like
mean, but
moment
like
of
Yeah. Those don't even
communication.
go together. That didn't make sense.
I mean,
I
if it depends on what happens with the burrito, you might need the pail later
Yeah.
if it's one of those
You might need
frozen.
that pail. That burrito was not refrigerated, so okay.
No, it was in an actual, yeah. No, it wasn't even an
Yeah.
insulated pail.
I like that because it's kind of a contrast to Schmidt, who is like, yeah, this perfume stinks, but I'm just going to give it to her anyway and not take the extra step of like maybe trying, maybe CC number 6 would have been the one that actually smelled good. Whereas, yeah, Nick keep working. Nick doesn't give up. He's like, I'm gonna, you know,
it's
you
also
know,
very season 1. These are still season 1 characters. So Schmidt
Yeah.
that is very Schmidt. He is very about the packaging and
mhm,
not what's the actual content.
yeah,
And so you got to give him a place to be really vapid and shallow and vain to have him grow
yeah.
throughout the
Give him
series.
room to grow. Right.
But it
So
also
good.
had that kernel of he's yes, thought Cece was just like beyond gorgeous since episode 1, like the moment he laid eyes on her, but he also does actually care about her.
Mhm.
And so you get that kernel of, yeah, it's about the pretty bottle and what the words I can say. But he did put thought into it. And, he doesn't care if it smells gross on her. He cares that she wore it. Whereas the guy she's there with is like, if you put on that man mustache, I'm leaving.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I would like
Which
to point out
obviously
that
like has
there is a cologne perfume that has dominant notes of cocoa and sandalwood, and it's called it's by Sonoma, and it's a unisex perfume cologne. And I think sea salt doesn't really smell like anything, so I think if you put those scents together, it wouldn't really smell
I
that bad.
actually, when he must have done something very wrong, because if you list those ingredients, I was like,
That's not
I
that bad
might
of a
wear that.
it kind
perfume.
of smells
I've
good.
heard of
Yeah.
that
You know
before. That
what?
doesn't sound awful.
I actually might wear that.
Yeah. Well, also it may be a personal thing. The perfume does kind of react with your body chemistry, so it's not going to smell the
If her
same on
response
everyone.
to sandalwood is the same as my response to patchouli, then yes, I exactly get where
Yeah.
she's coming from.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe it's like
vile.
cilantro. She's got like some genetic thing where
Oh
just
yeah,
sandalwood
she's a
doesn't react
super
well with her.
smeller.
It's a
And it
super
tastes like
smell.
soap.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so this obviously this episode has not been part of my yearly tradition. But yeah,
Will it?
after watching it, a bunch this past week, I could see this maybe not like a must watch every year, but I could see pulling this out every few years.
I feel like if you're one of those people that
Yeah.
needs to like lock in like from the day after Thanksgiving until New Year's Eve or whatever with nothing but holiday programming, and you're just looking to fill a slot. Yeah, this is right in there. This is easy
that
to do.
in,
But I
yeah.
think if you're just like cherry picking what's out there, you just like picking like you have your favorites and maybe some new things, then this probably wouldn't pop up on your radar.
Yeah. Well, I can see you kind of pair it up. You do a double header. So, you watch the Rugrats, and that gives you the traditional,
You
kind of
learn
religious
about
background. You learn about
Passover.
Hanukkah. You get the
Yeah, I'm
story and
sorry.
everything.
So it's
They
different.
do have a
No,
Passover episode,
they do have
but
a Passover episode also.
yeah. So you
Watched a
get
lot
kind
of
of
Rugrats.
you kind of you get your vegetables with your steak or with your treat. You eat your meal first. You eat your vegetables with the Rugrats, then you get your sweet dessert, and you kind of covers the kind of the gift giving aspect of the holiday that's become part of Hanukkah as well as Christmas. So all that stuff can apply. So yeah, I could see this as something that I rewatch for holiday seasons to come.
There you go.
Yeah. So there you go. So there you go. New Girl, season 1, episode 9. It's not too bad, and it ends on a very nice note. But
It does.
I still think Nick is already, he's calling his mom. And we don't know how long they're there. How long does it take them to wake everybody up, and then how long do they enjoy the lights before the neighbors start threatening to call the cops? It's maybe 2:15 or 2:15 or 2:20. I still think he could make the flight if they really try, but he's already calling his mom saying,
I
yeah, I missed the
honestly like
flight, not high.
feel like this is also a little bit of foreshadowing to later episodes when we find out not Liz's. I mean, we know Liz's, but Nick's relationship with his family and like how it's a little bit on the strained side at times, given their vibe. So there could be a subtext of like he doesn't want to go home. He does anyway, so he's dragging his feet, like I'm gonna miss my flight, that sort of thing. So I mean, I think
Well,
that
he's
might.
You miss
also
a
obviously in love with Jess, so
Yeah,
spending Christmas with her is more. This is his first chance to spend Christmas with her, so he's going to take as much
mhm.
time as he can instead of
Yeah,
flying home to
maybe
his
get some
mom.
rebound action because that thing
Oh
with Paul
yeah,
just broke up.
just broke up. Yeah,
Ugh.
old Saint Nick.
Yeah, she's into that weird nerdy sex.
Hmm.
And he's got the coupon in his possession
He's
now.
he did. He
Does
walked off with the coupon.
He can
one
redeem
wild
that.
night.
Yeah, which he said he was going to give to
Isn't it?
his mother, but hey, he missed his flight.
This
Now he
isn't
doesn't
What's he
have
going to
name
do?
to.
specific.
Now he can keep it.
Was he going
Oh,
to do? Fax it to her?
I mean, that man probably has a fax machine.
probably.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's
yeah.
connected to anything. Like he
But
has
but
it.
he has it. Yeah.
It's in his car.
All right. So there you go. So that's New Girl. That was a nice episode. Any parting thoughts? Anything else you feel you need to say? On
Merry Christmas! Now stop yelling before I call the cops. Yeah.
Yeah, from a couple of Gentiles to
that's
everyone of Jewish faith.
a
Hanukkah.
happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
So yeah, so why don't you let our listeners know? We'll start with you, Liz. Folks want to hear more from you. I know they do. Let them know where they can find you. You did some podcasts in the past,
I mean, yeah, there's if
and
you
maybe
have
more in the future.
you know
You never
what?
know.
If you haven't listened to Mean Girls Minute, there are 96 episodes of nonsense to listen to there. We
Oh,
guested on some fine Movies by Minutes podcasts, such as Mogwai Minute,
mhm.
and Minute Impossible, and
Mhm.
Titanic Minute,
Mhm.
and Star Wars Minute.
Mhm.
If you want to listen to me talk all the time, you can come work for me. Just
You
kidding, we're
could do
not
that.
hiring.
Just yeah, they're on a freeze.
You can get paid to listen to Liz. That's a dream job right there. And so, George, where folks, I know they want to hear more from you.
I mean, of
Where can
course,
they find
because
you?
Okay.
I mean, just if you enjoyed my pun work here, just tune in for
It gets
more.
worse.
It gets absolutely
Oh,
worse.
it gets so
Check
much
out
worse.
Mogwai Minute, which there's 212 episodes of that, where you can revel in the Emily goodness of me arguing with a British man. There's
About pineapples
uh,
on pizzas.
so I mean,
Oh,
it's a constant conversation topic. Yeah, and if you like, I mean, many guest appearances, multiples of Sean's and Liz's and everyone else's and that sort of thing. And also, you can check out one whole season of Elementary, my dears, where I talk about the show Elementary one episode at a time with my friend Allison. That might get more seasons if we ever have time.
If
Yeah.
everybody gets together and wishes real hard,
We might
maybe
do Way to Dune
someday,
Minute.
if everybody waits real good,
Yeah.
might
Just
get a
wish on
Dune
every
minute.
single candle of that Hanukkah, that
You
menorah.
might get a Dune minute.
Way maybe.
Maybe it'll be a podcast miracle. We
It
get
will
that
be.
way to do a minute.
When they
Ooh, boy,
create a
what day
holiday
is
just
it?
for podcasting, then
It will be
maybe
because of us.
Then
that holiday's miracle will get Way to Dune minute.
God
Yep.
bless.
Maybe
And,
one of the several other podcasts I've agreed to do.
yeah.
That
And
works.
you can always find us at nextscenepod.com. If you haven't heard our previous holiday specials and you want to go back and listen with those other episodes that we've done with George and Liz, you can find that.
Most of those, for sure.
Nextscenepod.com. We're at Nextscenepod on the social media, which does not include Twitter because Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
Because
What
why?
happened
Twitter's a
there?
garbage fire
Who
right now. I
knows?
think they just locked everybody out of the building and they don't know how to get back in.
Yeah, they
Terminator's
told
the person with the keys.
I
So
like
you're
this
fired.
move. They told everyone no more remote work. You have to come into the office. And then they locked all the doors and disabled everyone's card access. So no one can come into the office. And that way Elon can fire everyone and not have to pay any severance. He's crazy
He will
like a
just-
fox, that guy.
He will run Twitter himself.
Yeah,
Crazy like a Florida man.
crazy like a
Yeah.
Florida man.
Man, make
But you
some
can
announcement.
find us, at least as of this recording, Facebook still exists. Elon hasn't purchased and destroyed that yet. So you can find us at our listeners group, the Jelly of the Month Club. So hop in there. You can share your, what TV shows did you think were set in New York that turned out were actually set in LA?
Yeah, let's get a list of those.
Let's get a list of those going. And
We'll call that when
and-
Sean was this many days old when.
yeah,
And how many of them will surprise Sean?
a lot of them, I'm sure.
Sean, did you know that
Um,
Golden Girls is set in Florida? Not
Yeah.
New York.
I
Or Kentucky.
think I knew that. I think I figured that out, that they retired down to Florida. But they might have been from New York originally, but they were all retired.
I don't want to.
227 is set in New York.
Yeah. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was a thing.
But Austin?
I'll take your word for it. So anyway, listeners, come back tomorrow night for the 6th night of Hanukkah and also the 1st night of Festivus, where we will be discussing a show that I'm pretty sure was set in New York, and that'll be Seinfeld. So come on back for that. And we will see you next time on The Next Scene.